Okay, good evening,
Teresa?
everybody. Rocky, we need to see you on here. There we go. Okay, we are now going to begin our study session. Council, if you'll look at your packet.
Teresa?
Yeah, I can hear you good, Jackie. Jackie, can you hear me? I don't think she can hear
I don't
yet.
think she can either.
Jackie, can you hear us? Okay.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and let her get, go ahead and start and let her get signed in.
Okay.
So council, if you will look, your packet pages are numbered. The first blue page that you come to is page 109. And that is where our study session is all outlined. So, and I'm going to turn this over to Rocky.
Evening, Mayor and Council. The city owns, operates, and maintains a municipal potable water supply, storage, and distribution system to serve its citizens. The city's water system is classified as a Group A public community system. Oops, sorry about that. It jumped. Public community water systems are regulated by the Washington State Department of Health. The regulations require the city to.
Yes, Jackie, I can hear you. Sorry, Rocky, go ahead.
That's okay. The regulations require the city to have a water system plan, to periodically update its water system plan, and to obtain Washington Department of Health's approval at or before the expiration date of its immediate preceding water system plan. The city's updated water system plan has been prepared and Washington Department of Health has approved it. There will be an open public hearing during the regular city council meeting on October 26, 2021 regarding such updated water system plan. Formal adoption and implementation of the updated water system plan is scheduled to occur thereafter. As a reminder, from the February 9th study session, the water system plan covers construction projects, future projects, the financial aspects of the water system plan, and future rate requests. The water system plan was provided to council on thumb drives for review prior to this meeting. At this time, I would like to introduce Justin Bellamy with HLA Engineering and Land Surveying, Inc. Justin is the author of the water system plan. Justin.
Thank you, Rocky. Good evening, Mayor, council members. Thanks for having me tonight. As Rocky mentioned, if you recall, we last had a study session in February of this year discussing the water system plan components and details. That final draft water system plan following that study session was resubmitted to the Department of Health for review and approval. On June 23rd of this year, the Department of Health approved the final water system plan without any additional comments. After that, in working with city staff, we submitted a funding application to the Public Works Board for a loan to pay for the water service meter replacement project, which was identified as the number 1 priority capital improvement in the plan. That funding request was approved in August. During that application process, we reevaluated the scope and cost of the project with city staff and adjusted the costs accordingly. The total project cost for that meter replacement project is round numbers 1.6 million. which is up from what was included in the water system plan update of 1.1 million. However, that project was originally shown in the plan to be financed with city reserves, and now with successful loan application, the plan is to finance that project through a low interest loan, 20-year term. So the cost and funding source for that project was updated in the final plan, and the Department of Health was notified of that change. And since we aren't adding projects or changing the order of priorities, it does not require resubmittal. So as Rocky mentioned, we are looking, because Department of Health approved the plan, we're looking to move to have the city council adopt that plan as the final water system plan for the city. And other than that, there were no other changes from the February discussion. Everything else is stayed the same. And just wanted to see if you have any questions about it.
Roger, you're muted.
Not coming off mute on. I had a question because we discussed in February that we would not have in a 20-year plan enough water without moving forward with some more sources of water. And there was some conversation about building a water treatment facility. Is that no longer the case now?
I think, are you referring to the evaluation of the Crusher Canyon area and some of the other UGA areas for future service?
Yes.
Okay.
But at that time, we were saying we'd be out of water prior to 2041. And by this estimate or this plan right now, we're saying we have plenty of water to service our needs through 2041. The other thing that I had a concern on that particular topic was we had talked about our 10-year prior growth having averaged 2% or just a little more. And now, according to the chapter 2 of the water plan, we're saying that our growth was not that, but it was closer to 1%. And that's what we're projecting over the next 20 years. So I just want to make sure that we have the right projection numbers in there for growth.
Yeah, so the projection numbers in the plan again are in line with the comprehensive plan information that was used to build that. So this does not include any changes or updates to serve the additional areas that were discussed as part of those special planning areas. And
well, that concerns me, because if we're saying our growth over the last 10 years was 2%, and now we're coming back and saying it wasn't that high, it was only 1%, that's a lot of difference on a 10-year period. And we're projecting that same growth pattern over 20 years to only be 1% or thereabouts. They run up to 1.5 on one particular year, I believe.
Yeah, it ranges. It's like you said, about 1%. And that, that lines up with past growth trends. Again, if there's a planned expansion greater than that doesn't fit historical trends, yeah, that's not information that we had to account for in this plan.
Okay, so we're not planning on any growth on Crusher Canyon with this plan then? Is that correct?
If you're asking, we did not revise the plan to include the study areas that were evaluated after it was prepared, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, but
Does that make sense?
does it include the current two build projects that are going on Crusher Canyon?
It does not include any specific development projects or plans. It is a again, it's a base population projection from the let's see, hang on a second.
Justin?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I think, so the water system plan,
Mhm.
Councilman Bell, has defined how many water ERUs available. Doesn't matter really where the areas are. In the future, we can only serve so many ERUs, whether it's in the Crusher Canyon area, whether it's up by Valhalla. The water system plan is just dividing how many water rights we have to serve how many customers. And so it didn't look at a specific spot. It just said we project we have enough water till 2032 at our current pace. And I think Joe could help me out with this a little bit.
Yeah, but you actually got it down, Kai. But yeah, that's what it says is that we have a population of this today, and we're looking at population of X in 2032, and that what we're saying is the water system plan has the rights and the capacity to provide service to those number of ERUs that we need to have to serve population X in 2032. And yeah, Roger, that could be if one area, let's say Crusher Canyon did develop and they used up all of those projected ERUs, then we'd be limited out.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, this doesn't guarantee. There's no guarantee. There's no statement that says that the entire urban growth area will be served by the existing water rights. What we're saying is we have a finite number of water rights, and it's going to be a first come, first serve. Now back to that, Ty and Rocky and Justin and I have met with the two local irrigation companies, and well, let's say the Natchez Selah has been very receptive, and we're trying to do a little bit of homework yet, and we've talked to them, and we were talking about meeting with their board to discuss acquiring additional water or water rights from them. And yeah, we can extend that ERUs that we say what we have projected out by utilizing this Natchez Selah's water. And as development comes, we're going to tell them you're going to have to install a separate piped irrigation system to all your lots. And so since they will have separate irrigation, that will stretch the number of ERUs we have. Instead of being 500 gallons a day or something like that for the ERUs, it'll now go to, let's say we're only going to need 200 to apply to an ERU. So that gives us almost 2.25 times the equivalency for that. And we'd have to put in some mechanism to make sure that they don't utilize the city's potable water to do their irrigation. But yeah, we've been pursuing that, and that's in a nutshell. I know I said a lot, kind of double talk, but basically, yeah, we're not.
Here's my base concern. It's not about whether we included any specific area. I threw those in because what my concern is, we're projecting only 1% growth and now, and we were at 2% before, and we're saying that we have adequate water to go through 2041. So we're saying for the next 20 years, we can supply our projected growth. So have we projected growth only for what's within the city limits right now, or are we including projecting growth that might be annexed at some future date?
We're utilizing our urban area boundary, which includes areas that we will
Right.
perhaps annex, and that's what we're, yeah, that's called our retail area by the Department of Health, and that's what we're planning for, is our service retail area, which is the UGA. And I understand what you're saying about 1% versus 2%. We had discussions on that, and I think 2% was a little aggressive. The city hasn't had really, we've had 2% some years, sometimes a little more and sometimes less. You know, in the last 30 years, we've only increased 3,000 in population. So again, this document is a 6-year document or 10-year document now. And we'll be monitoring the amount of ERUs that we are issuing. And there's nothing to stop us if things are looking bleak. Let's say, I don't know, for some reason we get 2,000 lots become created and available in the next 10 years, or even 8 years or 7 years. There's nothing to stop us from going back and reevaluating this document and taking another look at it. It's just a snapshot right now.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, Roger. I know that's not a direct answer what you wanted, but
No, I understand. I'm just saying now we're projecting that we have 1% growth. Do we feel that's accurate?
I feel it's sufficient for this document. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Russ, you have your hand up?
Yeah, the document also talks about our policy that when a piece of property is annexed into the city, and if there's water rights attached to those pieces of property, that part of the agreement is that the city obtains those water rights. How much of our urban growth area includes property with water rights? Do we know that? Are we able to project that at all? And I would imagine there's an incentive for a landowner to sell water rights before annexing into the city. Is that correct?
The water rights, they're attached to a piece of property. If it is an agricultural use and the water rights are issued to that property through an irrigation district, especially like that Selah, the property owner is under a requirement to relinquish or sell those rights back to the irrigation district. Private properties that have independent wells have the control over those rights, and those are the rights that we can acquire. Let's say let's say we want to take over something like Sleandia Water District, which is just north of Goodlander, about halfway up the hill. If they wanted to become in the city, then we could say, okay, I don't know how many gallons they have, but we can say that we will require as part of the annexation that you transfer your rights to us. Yeah.
Hey, Jackie?
Thank you. When wells 1 and 2 were decommissioned, what happened to those water rights? Were they transferred over to another well, like well 6?
Yes.
Thank you.
Council, do we have any other questions? Well, Jeremy, Rocky, Ty, Joe, I think you guys answered the questions that they had.
Well, I'm sorry that it was a little convoluted in the answers, but the document, it just isn't as straightforward A to B to C. There's variables in between and different things that can happen. And like I say, it's not a document that we can't go back and later and make revisions to, like any other document. It is a living document. It's not cast in stone and live or die by it.
Okay,
Yeah, it's fluid that will change as time goes on. I understand that.
You know, let's say, you know, for some reason, and I've always not been in favor of, but let's say we got another company that came in that wanted 10 inches of water. And gee, they're going to bring 1 million jobs. They're going to pay us all this. And everybody kind of says, yeah, okay, we want to support that. Well, we just lost the well. And so then we lost all the water, all the ERUs associated with that. And that's why I've not been an advocate of any of supporting any kind of big water consuming businesses, because yeah, you just don't acquire new portable water rights. The water rights that we're trying to acquire, like I say, are irrigation rights. And if the city chooses to build a treatment plant for I don't know how many dollars to treat it and make it potable, I mean, we can go that route, but right now the best scenario and the most economical scenario is to acquire these rights. And as developers come in, because it's going out towards the edges of our city limits, that they would be able to put in an irrigation system and are out where the irrigation water is at. And so they can put in a domestic irrigation system for a subdivision.
thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Well, if we have no other questions, we will end the study session. Thank you, Justin, for showing up tonight, giving us that information. Anybody have any questions? We will come back in about 8 minutes, 7 minutes for council. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Justin.
Hey, Teresa, this is Kevin.
Yes, Kevin.
Do you want to still be recording?
Well, I was leaving it up because of the short time frame.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was just asking.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor, you,
Yes.
you might want to note that all of our resolutions are under N, but the individual resolutions are all listed as R1, R2 instead of N1 through 5.
Okay. Oh, they are. Teresa, do you see that?
I'm sorry, I just came on. Is he talking about the resolutions being what they are?
Yes.
Okay, so Rocky, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so Rocky, when you introduce your, oh, sorry, Madam Mayor, if you're okay with this,
Yeah.
when you introduce each of your resolutions, will you just note that instead of R1, it's supposed to be N1 or N2, depending on which one you're on?
Sure.
And then I'll make sure to note it in the meeting.
Okay.
Are you okay with that, Madam Mayor?
Yep.
Okay. Is that okay, Rob?
Yes.
Okay.
So just note N1 on the agenda summary.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
just the cover sheet. So the actual resolution isn't affected, but I need to make a note of that in the minutes. So as
Okay.
you introduce, we can just make the note that this one needs to be corrected to N1 or N2, depending on which one we're on.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, sorry about that, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Katrina.
Hi, Katrina. The pumpkin thief, Katrina.
Yes.
Said the pumpkin thief, Katrina.
The pumpkin what?
Thief.
The thief. I didn't steal it, but we did put him back.
Okay, I saw that. It's called borrowing, right?
That's right. We just borrowed them for a minute and replaced them with brand new ones.
Perfect. Perfect.
Also, Madam Mayor, I've been talking with Pastor Ruark
Yes.
regarding prayer. He is unable to attend, but they are working on getting somebody. I think
Okay.
it's going to be Pastor Katie. But Pastor Ruark has also mentioned that perhaps Chief Crispin could do it as well.
Okay. Chief, are you listening?
Yes, I am.
If we happen to not be able to have a pastor tonight, can you do prayer?
Can do my best for you.
Thank you.
Looks like Pastor Katie's on. Pastor Katie, can you hear us when your audio connects?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Thanks for being here.
Yes, of course.
Chief Chrisman, you're off the hook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Pastor Katie.
Teresa, for some reason I've lost the clock on my computer. You have to tell me when it's 5:30.
It is actually 1 minute past, so when you are ready.
Okay. Good evening, council. We are now called to order. Roll call, Teresa.
Councilmember Wickenhagen,
Here.
Councilmember Mattson,
Here.
Councilmember Vargas is not present. Councilmember Peterson,
Here.
Councilmember Bell,
Here.
Councilmember Costello,
Here.
and Councilmember Carlson.
Here.
There's one member absent, Madam Mayor.
Okay. We have a motion to excuse Suzanne from council tonight.
So move.
So we have a motion by Cliff to excuse Suzanne from council tonight, and we have a second by Roger. All those in favor? Hands. All right, it's unanimous. She's excused. Thank you. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance and remain standing for prayer from Pastor Katie tonight. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, I pray over this council set up to stand up for our town. We just ask that you would give them wisdom and peace as they make decisions for this next season, and that they would be blessed in their time together. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor Katie. Agenda changes. The only agenda changes we have are a few clerical errors in the packet tonight. And Teresa, do you want to read those?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Council members, there's just a few typos I wanted to point out to you. If you can turn to packet page number 6. On there, under approval of claims and payroll, the payroll check numbers 84437 through 84461. That line needs to be stricken from the September 28 minutes and actually added to tonight's minutes. Those got on there just a little bit too early. The date for that payroll is actually October 1st. So those need to go on to the October council minutes. And then if you can switch to packet page number 27. This is for what is going to be action item N4 for the resolution. Halfway down the page, it says passed and adopted by the City Council of Selah, Washington, and it has the wrong date. So that's going to be crossed out and it'll say today's date on it. And then the final change is on packet page number 96. This is going to be for the first ordinance. Under the title for this ordinance, the title reads Ordinance of the City of Selah, Washington, adopting chapter 70.01. That should read adopting chapter 7.01. So those notes will all be made in the packet. I just wanted to point that out to you guys as well. And if you noticed anything else other than Councilmember Bell brought to my attention that I put the wrong agenda numbers for the item summaries for the resolutions. We'll make that change as well.
Thank you, Teresa.
Yes.
Public appearances, introductions, and presentations. We have Katrina Hinkle from the Downtown Association.
Hey, good evening, everyone, Mayor, Council. We're just gearing up for our holidays. We do a trunk or treat in the middle school parking lot on Halloween. So check social media. I believe it's between like 4 and 6. If you're a business and you want to get involved, reach out to the chamber. Seems like there's quite a bit of participation. We're gearing up for Shop Small Saturday on November, I think it's 27th. I'm gonna surprise a bunch of people with some fun stocking stuffers and gift cards and all sorts of crazy stuff throughout town. So watch social media for that. And the lighted parade, of course, is the first Friday in December. We need folks signing up for that. If you want to be a participant, go to the SDA website, selahdowntown.org, and there's a link there so you can fill out a Google Doc so that I know that you want to participate and how much room you need in the lineup. We just changed out our planter boxes for fall. There's bulbs planted in there, so in the spring we should have some flowers. Hopefully we don't have some smashing pumpkins. Of course, we anticipate that may happen. It did last year. So there's scarecrows, all sorts of fun stuff. We hope you guys enjoy. And I kind of feel like that might be it. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know, and I'm happy to address those. Oh, Russ.
Can you also address the B&O contributions?
Oh, yes. Thank you for reminding me. How could I forget? We maxed out the allowed B&O contributions at $233,333.33. So that's really exciting for us. That's a lot more of operating budget that we can put back into Selah, making it, you know, a place for people to come and visit and our community members to enjoy and our culture. So that's really exciting for us. And a big shout out to the businesses that did help and did participate, including the city. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Unless there's anything, I'll be listening, and just yell at me and I'll chime back in.
Thanks, Katrina. Getting to know our business, we have none. Communications, we had no letters submitted tonight. Proclamations and announcements, we have none. Consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion without discussion. Should any council member request that any item on the consent agenda be considered separately, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and become part of the regular agenda. Roger?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to add item N2 to the consent agenda.
Second.
So we have a motion by Roger to move into the consent agenda and a second by Cliff. All those in favor, raise your hand. All right, thank you. It's unanimous. Okay, so N2 is now moved to the consent agenda.
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the consent agenda as amended by Russ, a second by Kevin. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Teresa, please read the consent agenda.
Approval of minutes, September 28th, 2021 council meeting, approval of claims and payroll. Item number N2, resolution accepting the 2021 crack ceiling project as complete, authorizing the final payment to the contractor and authorizing the release of financial retainage to the contractor.
Thank you. Public hearings, we have none. Under general business, new business, we have none, and old business, we have none. Resolutions. Mr. Wallace.
Evening again, Mayor and Council. The first item is agenda item summary N1 for the resolution. This is the Public Works Department and Selah Police Department have concluded that the following specified vehicles are no longer needed, should be declared to be surplus, and should be disposed of in a commercially reasonable manner pursuant to an approved resolution. We have a 1999 Ford Explorer, a 1986 F700 dump truck, a 2003 Ford Super Cab 4x4, a 1999 Chevy half-ton pickup, a 1995 Chevy S10 pickup, a 2000 Ford Expedition, a 1989 Ford F350 DRW, a 2004 Ford Expedition, a 1986 International dump truck, a 1979 Chevy water truck, and from the Selah Police Department, we have a 2004 Ford Crown Vic, a 2009 Ford Crown Vic, a 2004 Ford Expedition, a 2008 Ford Expedition, a 1993 F350. The staff's recommendation to approve the resolution in the form presented. Are there any questions?
Russ,
Just to clarify, we are changing this to action item N1, correct?
That
Yes.
is correct.
This is
Roger,
I move to approve.
okay.
I second.
Captain, second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Roger, a second by Kevin. Roll call, Teresa?
Councilmember Wickenhagen,
Are we open to questions first?
Oh, sorry. Is there any discussion? Thanks, Kevin. Is there any discussion? Kevin?
So do we have a mechanism that we already have set in place to, do we send the auction or we put these online? Do we have a mechanism in place that we're going to do this?
Yes, we are going to utilize an auction firm for the disposal of these vehicles. We are not going to put them on public surplus ourselves.
Is that a public auction or is that an online?
It used to be a public in-person auction, but due to COVID, they have gone to an online auction. It's Haverlows. And so they are performing their auctions online only now. And so all vehicles will stay at the Public Works facility. And we will have pictures and descriptions of the vehicles sent to Haverlows prior to the auction. And then those winners of the auction will come to Public Works and pick up those vehicles.
One final question. Do we publish any of this on our own website as to what is now available?
That I am not aware of. I believe that we could put on the website that we have these vehicles and they are available through Haverlows auction. If we were putting it on public surplus ourselves, yes, we would list every vehicle on there as City of Selah has a public auction, go to public surplus, and then they would be purchasing those through public surplus from the city.
Thank you. I would just recommend that we at least make a note on our own website that all these vehicles are available through Haverlow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Russ?
I agree with Kevin on that one. Just I don't think you need a motion, but I think the more money we can get for them, the better, and the more eyes we can put on it, the better.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve by Roger, a second by Kevin. Roll call, Teresa.
Councilmember Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilmember Mattson,
Yes.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell,
Yes.
Councilmember Costello,
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson,
Yes.
Unanimous, Madam Mayor?
Thank you. Resolution N3, Mr. Wallace.
Evening, Mayor and Council. The city currently has 3 dump trucks, each of which is 20+ years old. Public Works would like to decommission one of those and to purchase a newer replacement. Washington State Department of Enterprise Services, DES, has available for purchase a 2008 International 7,600 dump truck that includes an attached plow and sander. Public Works requests the city council to authorize the mayor to sign a contract on behalf of the city for the purchase of that dump truck. The purchase price will be $9,500 and taxes of approximately $779 will also be owed. Staff's recommendation is to approve the resolution in the form presented. Are there any questions?
Madam Mayor, this is Jackie. I move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Jackie. A second by Cliff. Cliff, okay. Is there any discussion? Russ?
Rocky, I'm assuming the answer is pretty straightforward, but we're getting rid of a international dump truck and buying one. I'm assuming it's the ones we're getting rid of just aren't usable, and this one still has life to it. And
That is correct.
Easy softball question. I just wanted to put it on record.
Thank you for the softball. Yes, we are. I didn't know in what order the action items were going to take place, but the 1986 F700 dump truck and the 1986 International dump truck. The 1986 International dump truck is the one that we have surplus now, and we are going to be replacing with this 2008 International dump truck.
Thank you. So we have a motion to approve from Jackie, a second from Cliff. Roll call, Teresa.
Councilman Wickenhagen?
Yes.
Councilwoman Matson?
Yes.
Councilman Peterson?
Yes.
Councilman Bell?
Yes.
Councilman Costello?
Yes.
Councilman Carlson?
Yes.
Unanimous?
Thank you. Resolution N4, Mr. Wallace.
Good evening, good Mayor and Council. The water service meter improvements project is included in the adopted 2021 budget. This project was going to be funded by city funds. The city was successful in securing a public works board loan for the project. The water service meter improvement project includes a replacement of approximately 28,000 existing direct read water meters with new radio read meters and installation of an advanced metering infrastructure system. The project also includes replacement of existing meter box lids as required for compatibility with the selected AMI meter system. Existing meter boxes will be replaced in locations where replacement lids are not available and/or replace damaged boxes as funding allows. A propagation study and analysis will be completed to determine the locations for the AMI system collectors, repeaters, and/or antennas required for adequate coverage of the city's service area. The city may also evaluate and consider the use of cellular AMI system development as an option to reduce O&M costs and/or improve coverage. So this task order is for the engineering services for the water service meter improvements project. As was stated in the study session previously, this now has a public works board loan. And so the engineering services for the $174,500 will be paid through the public works board loan. Are there any questions?
Russ?
You mentioned it says there's 2,800 existing meters. What percentage of the city are we hitting with this update?
So with this upstate, I'm gonna say 97%. We did not look at the industrial meters for the city, but these are mostly residential and multifamily.
Roger?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Roger, a second by Jackie. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call, Teresa.
Councilman Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Matson,
Yes.
Councilman Peterson,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Carlson,
Yes.
unanimous.
Thank you. Resolution N5, Mr. Wallace.
Evening again, Mayor and Council. The city is constructing the wastewater collection system improvements project. This agreement is for the engineering services during construction and post-construction of the wastewater collection system improvement project, including contract and funding agency administration, providing the services of a resident project representative, and preparation of recorded drawings. So this is through the USDA RD loan, and the fiscal impact is $265,600. Are there any questions?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Jackie, a second by Kevin. Is there any discussion? Kevin?
Has HLA successfully operated this type of operation before?
I believe they have. I don't know exactly which project they have done before. I can get that information for you and provide it to council if you would like.
I'm just curious if they've gone through this process before. That was my.
Is my understanding they have. With my previous employer, I also went through this project or this process, excuse me, for a $20+ million sewer improvement project. It was with a different engineering firm, but the same USDA RD representative. So I'm familiar with this process, and I am currently working through this process with Marty at USDA RD.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a motion to approve by Jackie, a second by Kevin. Roll call, Teresa.
Councilman Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Matson,
Yes.
Councilman Peterson,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Carlson,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Ordinances, Mr. Peters.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is an ordinance for the city of Selah, Washington, adopting Chapter 7.01 SMC to establish a complete streets program for the purpose of providing safe access and accommodations to all users, including bicyclists, pedestrians, motorists, and public transportation users. In the background and findings, you find the information that says that in 2011 is when the Washington State legislator went and passed the Complete Streets Bill, which created the grant funding program. And in short, basically, the city of Selah finds that with the adoption of our construction standards, which largely require us to put in complete streets with curb, gutter, and sidewalks, safe passage for the elderly and children to and from school, and including bikes and pedestrian paths and other emergency services, that we found it would be beneficial to us to have this other funding source available for our streets programs. The funding source for any application that we would apply to would be through the Washington State Transportation Improvement Board. But each grant would be process would be an individual process that we'd have to apply for. And then the Transportation Improvement Board would match our project up with the different funding groups that they have available for that type of project. The city administrator has reviewed the ordinance, and as well as our public works manager, Mr. Wallace, and we're recommending that council adopt the ordinance in the form presented. And if there's any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them, and as well as Mr. Wallace, if you want to jump in, if there's anything that you want to address as well. Any questions?
No. Do we have a motion to approve by Cliff or who?
I think Cliff went first.
Okay, motion to approve by Cliff,
I'll second.
a second by Russ. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call, Teresa. Oh, sorry, Cliff?
I just have a quick question in the ordinance in what section is it? 701-030. No, it's the next one. 040. Talks about that it'll be incorporated in, and it lists a number of city comprehensive plan, public works standards, parks and recreation plan.
Yes.
Do we have those plans? And by specifying those, does that require us to have? Because it seems to me recently we had a discussion that we don't have a formal parks and recreation plan.
No. I mean, what I can answer, I'll let Rocky jump in here afterwards. So we have an adopted parks plan. It may be slightly outdated, but our comprehensive plan does cover goals and policies that encompass the complete streets principles. And those are, I have noted those in the complete streets program and also within the ordinance in the documents that you have. So yeah, we're covered either direction. And Rocky, do you want to add anything?
Yes, I'd just like to make a note on the Parks and Rec plan. When we get into budget, council will see that there is a budget item in there for a Parks and Rec plan update. And so we are going to do a Parks and Rec plan update through the adopted budget for the 2022 year, if approved by council.
Okay, Russ?
I'm just curious, when you say, Jeff, slightly outdated, can you define that? Are we 5 years out?
I don't remember what the last one was from our last, when we adopted the capital facility plan. I was being generous, I guess, in that statement. It's maybe, Rocky, you remember the date?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, Jeff. That was adopted through 2020 or 2019.
But it was updated when?
No, it expired. Well, let me rephrase that. The expiration date was 2019 of that plan. And all that means is that if the city had applied for funding through RCO, we would not be eligible because we did not have an approved and adopted Park and Rec plan. That does not mean the plan is invalid. It just means that for funding, and Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that for funding through RCO, we would not be eligible.
That's correct. Joe, you need to unmute.
Yeah, Rocky, that's correct. RCO wants a current plan in place, but as Jeff was alluding to, the our comprehensive plan, our capital facilities plan, all have goals and policies and limited discussion on projects for the Park and Rec. What this Complete Streets does, it just makes another funding source available, and it's administered by the Transportation Improvement Board. What you do is you have a project, and we ask for partial funding, and they don't ever give you full funding. The amount of money isn't that amount is there, but it will allow us to get additional funding to help with either matches or help fund the project. And what that does is you ensure through a questionnaire that you're going to have sidewalks, you're going to have wheelchair ramps, and if there's bus route available, then you provide stops, and just to ensure that the quality of life is going to be served by this new road facility, and that it goes to a review committee, and some of the agencies that you have to get a support from is like the Washington Department of Transportation, and they will look at what the project is proposing, and then they will recommend either yay or nay based on the proposal to the Transportation Improvement Board, and then we can make the application. So all this is trying to bring about all these different facets that basically we're doing now anyway. So we got thinking, well, we might as well go the extra step and go through these little committees to try to get some additional funding to help with offset some of the matches and stuff that are required.
Rocky, wasn't it that this was requested actually with, I think, our 3rd Street project?
It's my understanding that when TIB visited the Valley View 3rd and Southern project, they suggested that the city have a complete streets policy and do an application as part of that project. Now, I was not there, so Joe or Ty, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, that's true. They did. They said we ought to get on board with this program, and since our streets are basically compatible and compliant with it, there's no reason why not to do it. It's just one of those things we haven't got around to, so now we're doing it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Cliff, a second by Russ. Roll call, Teresa?
Councilmember Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mattson,
Yes.
Councilman Peterson,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Carlson,
Yes.
unanimous, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Ordinance 02, Mr. Novobelski.
Yes, what you have before you is an ordinance that will amend the 2021 budget for the replacement of the city's animal control vehicle. As indicated in the AIS, several months ago, the previous city administrator was having a discussion with the police chief regarding the animal control vehicle that was being used, and it had been identified as needing some serious repair costs. So the previous city administrator directed our police chief that he could replace it. The chief placed an order through the Washington State Department of Enterprise Services for the government contract pricing for a Ford F-150 at approximately $43,000, and estimates that to complete the vehicle with equipment for animal control purposes will cost an additional approximately $11,800. And so you have before you a budget adjustment for $54,414.
Thank you. Councilman Bell?
Move to approve.
Mike second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilman Bell, a second by Councilman Costello. Is there any discussion? Roger, you're.
Yes, I assume the nearly 12,000 is purchased through the state system also. Otherwise, it would have to be a competitive bid on that amount, I believe.
That's correct.
Thank you. Russ, did you have a question?
Yeah, is one of these vehicles that we surplused at the beginning of the meeting, the vehicle being replaced?
Rocky, do you know if that was on that list?
There's an 04 Ford Expedition and an 08 Expedition. I'm assuming those were the ones.
Yeah, I believe one of those was.
I am not sure, but I can get that information for council.
I just want to make sure we're not surplusing vehicles that we're using before we're granting funding for a vehicle to replace them. So.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Councilman Bell, a second by Councilman Costello. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilman Wickenhagen,
Yes.
Councilwoman Matson,
Yes.
Councilman Peterson,
Yes.
Councilman Bell,
Yes.
Councilman Costello,
Yes.
Councilman Carlson.
Nope.
Motion passes 5-1, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Mhm. Thanks, Dale. Public appearances, we have none. Reports and announcements. Chief Lang.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I don't have a lot to report tonight. We're extremely busy over here at the fire department with all kinds of things I think I filled you in on previous. Waiting on the governor's deadline next week to find out what really happens around here. But call volume is going up and work is getting done. We are short one of our full-time staff that is out on leave. So that's making it a little tight, and the call volume is putting a lot of stress on the volunteers lately. So it's just business as usual. We're just kind of in one of those lows right now with the call volume up. Other than that, work as usual. Is there any questions for me or for the fire department? All right, thank you, Council.
Thank you, Chief. Mr. Peters.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I too don't have very much to report tonight. Other than the Planning Commission did conduct its 3 public hearings for our comprehensive plan map amendment request from citizens, and which included one city property where the police station is looking to be built in the future. And the Planning Commission recommended approval of all of those applications. So that will be coming to your second October meeting. Mr. Case will likely need to give you some instructions prior to the public hearing because these are quasi judicial public hearings and they are sensitive to in parte contact and other issues with regard to processing those applications. So we will likely have a little bit of a brief from Mr. Case on those applications prior to you opening the public hearings and hearing them. But other than that, that's what I have coming your direction. And we are still processing a number of different building permit applications, but mainly things to, fix roofs and things like that before the cold weather comes through. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Chief Chrisman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, keep it along the same themes. I don't have a great deal to share with you tonight, but I will tell you the next Saturday is National Drug Take Back Day, and we're planning on participating here at the PD. We'll have a station set up. People can bring their expired or no longer needed prescription medication to us, and we will dispose of them through DEA. So that's coming up next week. We're also planning our food drive again. That was very successful last winter. And so we'll have 2 different weekends coming up here. We're getting ready to set those dates with the local grocery stores and then provide that food to the Selah Food Bank. So it's just some plans for the future. But other than that, happy to field any questions. That's it for me.
Thank Chief Chrisman. Mr. Novobelsky.
Yes, I have 2 items. First, I'm sure that all of you have been thinking about the 2022 budget. And so last week, the mayor, city administrator, and myself met with the department heads, and they submitted their requests for next year. Currently, I'm in the process of discussions with the city administrator and those department heads as to how we're going to evaluate those requests. And so then I'll be preparing a preliminary budget that I will provide to you. And the actual meetings on Zoom with the council members will occur with these department heads November 17th, 18th, and 19th. So I'll be sending a schedule out that'll advise you as to what those times are. The second item I have is that tomorrow's going to be a rather exciting day at City Hall, in that it's been a year and a half with the governor's moratorium that we've been unable to shut off utility accounts for delinquent status. As you know, the governor did block us from charging any late fees or shutting off water for the last year and a half, but that ended as of the end of September. And he also requested that we come up with an assistance program to help these customers that might be in arrears. And what we came up with, that I've run by the mayor and city administrator, is a policy where currently we're allowing these customers that have a delinquent status 6 months to come current. So we're only requiring them to pay 1/6 of their past due balance. And even then, in the past, it was if it was over $20, and this time we're doing it over $40. So if they owe more than $40, and that's 1/6 of their past due, we're going to shut them off if they don't make payment for that amount. But as indicated, we're giving them 6 months. So next month, we're going to take that past due balance and divide by 5, subsequent month 4, and so on. So basically, they'll have 6 months in order to catch up on their delinquent balance. And I would say the good news is, like as Rocky was indicating, we have approximately 3,000 utility accounts, and currently there's only 21 accounts that are subject to shut off tomorrow. So, I think that's rather remarkable that it is that small of a percentage of our overall customers. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Wallace.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So Public Works is business as usual. Currently, we are working through the Valley View 3rd and Southern project. That project is in the right-of-way phase. We're also in the design of the Crusher Canyon Sewer Project. That's approximately 60% currently. We have sent that to Yakima County so that they can take a look and see if they want to do any improvements while we are there installing our sewer main. The wastewater collections improvement project, that's going to be a lot of work with USDA RD. I will be coming to council for approval of interim financing. And then I am working with the bond council, which is Foster Garvey now out of Seattle. So you will see some resolutions coming from Public Works for approval for working with the bond council. The water service meter project, staff spent a lot of time doing inventory to try to reduce that project down from the $2.6 million loan that we received. And we did a reduction of that loan to 1.6. So for council, that interest rate is 0.75% over 20 years. If Public Works can complete this project by August of 2024, we will also see a reduction of 0.25%. So that will give us a loan for 20 years for 0.50%. The Fremont Sidewalk project is approximately 30% design currently. I've been working with the engineers for the Natchez Avenue Sidewalk project. That is approximately 70% at this time. We have made contact and handed out flyers to the businesses to let them know that Public Works will be coming into their area this fall and winter to either relocate water meter boxes and water meters or just installing new boxes. But we're going to do everything possible that we can to ensure that access to those businesses is maintained even throughout the project. Other than that, I have nothing else. Is there any questions?
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council, Mr. Carlson.
I was going to say that I feel like I've taken up a lot of the evening, but I think Rocky won that one. Just wanted to give props to those businesses in the city who supported the SDA with the B&O tax credit. It's a pretty phenomenal program and allows us to basically direct our B&O funds that would normally go to Olympia to stay here in the city of Selah. So just for some clarification, about halfway through this year, they increased the pot that was available, the pot of money available to each community, and we so it opened it back up in October. That'll only happen this year, so next year it'll be for the entire amount on a one-time open. There were numerous businesses who wanted to contribute, businesses who contributed only a portion and had extra money. And so those businesses went ahead and donated to Ellensburg and to Cle Elum because we hadn't met our cap. So I just wanted to give kudos to those businesses. We're grateful for them, and we're grateful for them looking out for our neighbors as well.
Thank you. Mr. Costello.
I have no report.
Thank you. Ms. Jackie.
No report, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Wickahagen.
No report, Madam Mayor.
Mr. Peterson.
No report.
Mr. Bell.
Yes, real quick, Thursday night this week, 6 p.m. at the Civic Center for the Spursa Town Hall meeting, reference the levy. So if you can participate, please stop by, get your questions answered. That's Thursday night, 6 p.m. Also, the 28th of October, our architect, McKinsey, will be making a public presentation at the Civic Center on the proposed Law and Justice Center, including drawing from the public what they'd like to see in that. So that's it.
Roger, can you say that date again? Sorry.
October 28th, 6 p.m.
Thank you. Did I get everybody? Mr. Case.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Council, as you probably noticed within your packet, the second blue item is an additional informational item. It's labeled as Q4. As explained on the cover sheet, I provided this to you and members of the public because it pertains to the new sign code, which we, of course, did a lot of work on at our last council session. There were many sub-motions advanced to the original motion that ended up modifying the text. So what I've done here is there's no action needed. Again, this is just an informational item, but what I've done is I've typed up the final version that includes all the amendments to place it in front of your eyes and also in front of the public's eyes in case there are any typos or any other mistakes that can be caught before we publish the new codified version. And again, the new codified sign code will take effect on December 1st. Secondly, I received, I just want to let you know, I did receive the emails from Councilmember Carlson and Councilmember Bell in regards to the mediation session that is planned for November 10th. And then the final thing I'll say is to forewarn the council and the public that there's going to be at least one executive session pertaining to litigation at our next council meeting that is contemplated to occur early in the council meeting rather than at the end. At least one. That one at the beginning will be conducted not only by myself, but there will be at least one additional attorney and perhaps two additional attorneys. The one additional attorney that is most likely to participate is Mike Balacina from Seattle. And an additional attorney that may participate is Tom Fitzpatrick, also from the West Side. That will pertain to litigation again and the mediation session that is contemplated for November 5th. So not November 10th, the one that I got the two emails on today. Those two mediation sessions pertain to different litigation. That's all I'll say here publicly. If any of you have any questions about it, go ahead and send me an email or give me a phone call and I can fill you in the blanks. But I just wanted to forewarn you to expect about a 15-minute executive session early on in our next council meeting pertaining to litigation and specifically a contemplated mediation session on November. That's all I have publicly. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Haney.
Well, obviously by our last meeting, we were working the sign code and all the items that are on the agenda tonight. We're quite busy with a number of projects that are being designed currently and meetings proposed with business owners and construction that we've got planned for next spring. And next year there'll be a busy time. Then like Dale, we talked about the budgets meetings we've been having. Oh, we're gonna be seeing some additional city codes being revised. Those will be in the next few meetings coming up. You know, and we've, like I said, we're moving ahead with the Law and Justice Center, having weekly meetings with the architect, and we're working with Mr. Harris, Bill Harris, and HLA Engineering, which is providing a site plan for the new food bank. And Mr. Harris is working with, I think, a local designer to get that building designed. It's been a long time coming. So we just got a lot of things going on, and just a lot of things going on. And so the budget obviously is going to be the big one, but we'll get it done and we'll move on. So that's all I have. Thank you. I'll entertain any questions.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Like Joe said, it's busy in here. It's between Joe and Rob and all of the things that need to be updated. We're busy. If it's not a meeting, we're sitting discussing. So we're moving forward and things are looking good. So we have a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, Kevin. Do we have a second?
A second that.
Motion to adjourn by Kevin, second by Russ. All those in favor? We are now adjourned. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Roger, there's council. Mr. Bell, we got
I'll
council
be
or
I'll be
commissioner.
there.
Okay, thank you.